Race 3 in the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh World Cup. We're in Altenberg in Saxony, the German track that has a fearsome reputation. As we get ready for the start of our two-man competition. Good afternoon, everybody. Herzlich willkommen here in Altenberg. I'm Martin Haven. Sitting alongside me in the booth is John Morgan. And John, this track's tough reputation is rightly deserved, but it's in electrifying form this weekend.
Well, it was built for the East German Sports Military Center in the early 80s, and like in NASCAR, like in Darlington, this track is too tough to tame. You know, it's steep at the start, long on Kuska. Look at that, 2003, that start record's been around. Kuska's still in the competition today. Curve 1 named after Matthias Benisch, the guy who runs the place. Well, he was also a good athlete for Germany, but he tipped over one day in Curve 1, hence the name after him. Now this track just presents challenges. Here's 2, 3, the big Omega curve. Exit to 3 to 4, not as crucial in bobsleigh as it was in skeleton. 5, 6, and 7, three-corner combination that you really have to let the sled rocket, accelerate. And now out of curve 10, there's Harold Chodai, the 1994 Olympic Games gold medalist for Germany from this region, from Saxony. Kreisel, a 290, 300-degree whip around. Exit slingshot effect at 12, 13, 11, 12. Toughest two-corner combination on the planet. A lot of G-force here in 13 and 14. You know, it's not over. You got to exit going uphill. No mistakes allowed. Then the big pressure, 15, 16, the 80-mile-an-hour speeds. Tough track. Third straight tough track the athletes have faced. Whistler, Lake Placid, Altenberg. Quite a challenge.
Yeah, breaking them in the hard way this season. Last year, the season kicked off here in Altenberg. Air temperature hasn't really warmed up. Still -7. It was about -15 overnight. And ice, -8. It got up to about -6 earlier on. And the sun has gone. It is getting colder. There's local boy Nico Walter, just moved into a new apartment in Dresden. Rico Peder, fresh off the last race in Lake Placid, where he claimed his first ever four-man win. Another local hero. They're blessed with talent here in the Oberbarenberg Bob Club. That's Francesco Friedrich, the double two-man world champion and last year's race winner here. Well, everybody limbering up, particularly the core, the back. And there's a number of athletes here who are still battling with back problems. Carlo Valdez trying to make sure that doesn't happen to him. And there is Oskars Melbardis, back from surgery on his back during the summer and feeling, by his own reckoning, about 50%. Lamin Dean is the first of our 24 sleds on ice in the two-man competition. Only the fastest 20 go through into the second and deciding heat, so we will lose 4 of those. And among the field today, 10 teams that we have not yet seen in the World Cup this season in two-man or four-man. So a bunch of teams, including all 3 Latvian sleds, stayed in Europe pre-Christmas, saved their pennies, raced here in the European Cup, and the Swiss as well. Bert Hefty, he didn't make the trip to North America. 36-year-old guardsman Lamin Dean from Manchester, former boxer, his hero Frank Bruno, and his brakeman, 25-year-old Sam Blanchett, born in Montreal, Canada, now lives in Exeter in Devon, former rugby 7s and 15s star.
5:35, start record 5:12. Lamin is more of a four-man specialist and uses the two-man as a warm-up. High there, as he cracks the wall to the right. Yeah, that's a big mistake, so obviously that's going to be something we'll watch. That 3 to 4 Albatross, real challenge on this track for the skeleton, more in bobsled, but boy, you can lose a lot of time up there.
Out of Chodai, the long straight, you've got to be on the driver's left coming into this long Kreisel. 3 pressures from the centrifugal force.
Now look at this, 11-12. That's the trickiest two-corner combination. Reminds me of the old little less than 12 in Lake Placid on the old track.
That's where his teammate Misha McNeil crashed yesterday. Her and her brake woman Mika are okay. Lamin Dean gets down safely, 55.69, 1 second and 500ths off the track record.
Well,
I thought, hang on a minute, we're getting close already, and that's the first. No, I didn't read that properly.
I don't know. You know, is he 1 second? I don't know. I think 50 hundredths maybe. I don't think we're going to get near that record, but we saw a lot of track records this morning in the skeleton, men and women. Watch the 3 to 4. Hits the take-on going in, and the skeleton people really had challenges there. Pushes them away. The sled's airborne. All the pressures on the front runners. Pressure, friction. Not what you want to do at the top of the track where the speeds are slow.
Hello, Theo. I've got your socks on.
Well, I hope that's the only bit of her underwear that he's wearing. Benny Meyer of Austria makes his World Cup debut for this season. Markus Sammer, the brakeman, has also started driving for Austria.
He's done with the driving, he says. He's going to stay with the brake. He's the fastest guy they got.
Yes, he is. Like anything else in life, you've got to try it. If it doesn't work, okay, go back with what you know. Look at the speed building, nearly 40 kilometers an hour before they even sit down.
Decent start. But these guys had decent starts.
That's a 10th off the all-time record. That might go today.
Oh, I don't know. That record's been around for 2003. Meyer sneaks through there. I still think he tapped a little fraction early, but fraction is hundredths. Hundredths at the top of the track or tenths down below.
His career turned on a dime last year. Pre-season, he didn't do any training. He didn't think he was going to have a team. Had to get one of the Austrian girls to compete in the 4-man team trials, and then ended up the season with European Championship medals and great performances at the end of the year.
This is telling me this track could give up the record today. He's going to be 3/4 of a second ahead of Lamini.
He's getting close to it, and this is only our second sled, 54.93.
Oh, put your seatbelt on. There's his dad, Manfred Meyer on the right, Joseph Hoppe on the left. They like it. Good start. That looked better to me than what we saw out of him in North America. It's a long season. You don't want to peak early. You want to peak late.
Yep. World Championships are going to be in winter in Koenigsegg in Bavaria this season.
There's the exit. 8, 9, 10. There's a little tapping out of 9. He made his mistake up on the entrance to 9 and cost him with 2 taps. 1 tap is acceptable.
Well, that might have been a 10th of a second.
Yeah, and he had quite a Kreisel turn, too. Benny.
Yeah.
He's only about 23, another youngster.
Both his brothers are skeleton athletes. This is Maxim Andrianov from Russia with Ilya Malik behind him. Andrianov did make the trip to North America, 13th in Whistler, 11th in Lake Placid.
Austrians just came down with 22. They should get into the high 20s. 38, not good. I'm really surprised that the Russians have that slow of a start time. But of course, you don't want to peak now. You want to make all your money late in the season, unless you're trying to win the World Cup title. 3/10 back. Considering that start, that 3/10 back's not bad. Those are good lines here. 1 hit, 2, down to 29 now. Speed, really good. Exit, perfect. 27. He's coming back. Efficient start. Perfect drive. Jinxed him.
Yikes.
Jinxed him. Ooh, it's the roof. Hit the roof. And gets to the finish. But he's still only 2,700s back. Had the top speed, 80 miles an hour. Second top speed, excuse me.
Alexander Zubkov on the right there, you saw in the black hat. Multiple medalist on this track.
Now, you take away the start, the 2,700s down, they were 1,600s down at the start. So he drove well until he got to the 14. That guy was starting to give him some accolades and jinxed him.
This is past our window, and that's where you jinxed him, just as he got closest.
Look at that, this is not what you want to do. This slide almost turned upside down right there.
Right up there in the frost as well.
We call on the roof, and the frost is a good point, Martin. There's not a lot of speed up there. They don't really water that up there too often. Look at his brakeman.
Yeah, little banged about.
Well, that hurt him in the finish curve.
Hometown hero Nico Walter with the awesome Kevin Kuska behind him. As you said, John, Kuska with the Andre Langer setting the start record here in 2003. 13 years ago.
I don't see we're going to see the start record here from this awesome specimen in the back.
In fact, 14 seasons ago now, because we're 2017. I can't count.
28. That's pretty good. 600's back, but Walter did good on this track last year, right?
Yeah.
Look at these lines. See him get through here. Should sneak right here with no problem.
Took the silver medal in the 4-man last year on this track.
1500's back. That's relative to the 600s he gave up at the start. That should stop bleeding. Yeah. Ooh, it hasn't. Speed similar to the Austrians. This would be very surprised if he doesn't catch the Austrian down below here. Here he comes. Here he comes.
The Germans fiddling around with different sleds. They missed out on Lake Placid. They came testing in Winterberg and Koenigsee. They were doing 8 trips a day for 14 days, trying to work out what sleds do what.
Look at this, 54.75. We're 1100ths from the track record. There's an advantage, home track advantage right there for Nico Walter on the bottom.
Been talking all weekend about how training every day was hit by snow and race day, no snow. Totally different track. You might as well be somewhere else.
Yeah, well, the athletes from Germany have a distinct advantage here. Besides the fact that it's their home track, everybody else trained in lousy conditions, and they're going a second and a half faster. And we are only 1100ths from the track record. Watch these lines. Look at the Callan. Look at the articulation, the suspension. Hardly you saw any kind of a split, which means no pressure as he transcended through those 2 curves. Perfect. This is why he caught the Austrian sled on the bottom part of the track.
Nico Walter on the right, Kevin Kuska on the left.
Kuska is still big.
What a beast. Jan Verber of the Czech Republic. Haven't seen him so far this season either. Dominik Succi, his favorite #1 brakeman behind him. Again, they haven't been idle, sitting on the couch. They were racing pre-Christmas here in Europe in the European Cup races. 4 races.
Pretty good top 5 in the 4-man here a few years ago. This is considered their home track. 3rd best start at 35. Now he needs to be perfect all the way down this track. Exit 3, 4, pretty good. 4th best speed though.
And lots of experience, Jan Verber. Good pair of hands as well, and really excels in the 4-man. A little bit like Ivo Danilevic did for the Czech
right there.
Republic.
That's considering 700's back at the start. See if he can match any speed in the bottom. No. Good runners on it. It's a little cold here. Runner selection, pretty important. But again, they haven't a chance to train in conditions like this all week. Their 6 trips were in snowstorms, blowing snow, snow in the track.
And they've been on the fat runners that you use in the snow. Now they're on the thin runners you use on the really cold hard ice if they've got them with them. You know, you don't expect -8, -10 ice in Altenberg. St. Moritz, yes. Altenberg, maybe not so much.
He gets better results in the 4-man anyways. He's a little bit like Globin Dean with the 2-man as a warm-up for the 4. Start, watch him get in. They practice this over. Look how high he gets. Now he's got to get settled. Don't hook those feet on the D-rings, which steer. Now look at the drive lines. Now he's out of the drive lines. He's got to have control.
He's had a shave and everything.
Clean himself up.
Rico Peder of Switzerland with Simon Friedli behind him. Rico Peder, his first ever World Cup victory in 4-man came in our very last race before Christmas in Lake Placid. He's had a slew of 2-man wins in the last couple of seasons. Really sort of kicked that off in Sochi 2 years ago.
World Cup leader, right?
And he has kind of a wild style of riding these tracks.
Well, he's typical Swiss. He just doesn't steer. He lets the sled run, and he's got the fastest time. Comes right out of that first curve. He was 200s behind Walter. Out of the first curve, he already had green numbers, but he just lost it there and it went back to neutral. Might be red here because that hit up top out of 2 cost him. But he's known to hit a few walls and still be fast.
Took a bronze medal here in the 4-man a couple of seasons ago, but has never been in the 2-man medals as a driver.
Losing time. Hit up top. 2 to 3. Loud bang. This is a little waiver there, 2 in the 15. Speed, doesn't have the speed. Look at that, he's almost a kilometer now. Third best time. Look at the deer and headlights look that Wolfgang Stomper just had. This is the World Cup leader. He's well back, 3/10.
He's the World Cup leader in four-man with a silver and a gold medal from his four-man campaign. In the two-man in North America, silver in Whistler, 6th in Lake Placid. So
he's the overall World Cup leader.
Yes, he is as well, yeah.
This is pretty good. He drifts a little bit left. Now he's trying to come back over to the right. Taps before he gets on into the Kreisel. And here, you know, your exit uphill, look at the difference in speed. 3.7 kilometers gained.
Nico Walter picked up 4.4, so he gains time but lost a little to Nico Walter. Rico Peda lying in third position. Next up for Korea is Yoon Jong-won with Young Wo Seo. Won lying second in our two-man World Cup rankings, bronze medalist in Whistler. The Korean team's home track until Pyeongchang is fully up and running.
Eric Allard on the left, his coach, former French world champion bronze medalist in 1995. He's taken over the duties of Malcolm Gomer-Lloyd, who passed away a year ago.
This duo finished in the bronze medal position on this track in December 2015, last year's season opener.
Early on that curve, he's up 10 hundredths though. 200s off the best start. This Korean sled has been flying most of the season. 10 to 8. Walter was perfect on the bottom part of the track. Warren's going to have to do the same, down to 3. He's going to get a little dicey here.
And a little skid coming up over the brow. He's just behind. Can he find anything down the bottom in this BTC sled? Going to be close to Nico Walter, but not in front.
Yeah, he's
second spot.
Down. Home track advantage to Nico Walter. That wasn't real smooth though. There was a couple drifts in there.
Yeah.
But still, that's going to put him in the mix.
Bronze medalist in two-man last season here. Nico Walter was not among the two-man medals. We slide and win with Gomer, it says on the side of the sled. It's a year ago today that we lost Malcolm Lloyd, the Korean bobsled coach and friends to everyone.
Tap, 4-3, not what you want to do. That cost him. He could be the leader. I think this cost him the lead. That was worth 15, 20 hundredths right there.
Yeah, plus the skid out of 11-12. That cost plenty of time as well. There's Ivo Danilevich, their driving coach, down at the bottom with the crew. One walks away. There's Young Wo Seo. And here is the man who won last year, Francesco Friedrich. Then he had Torsten Margis behind him. Now he's got Martin Grotkop. So is Margis not fit and healthy?
A lot of people here for Friedrich. They got 5 buses of people come out of Dresden. Look at the start, 5:15. Okay.
300ths off the all-time record.
Okay, if he gets through 3-4 here, I'm going to predict the track record to come out.
That 14-year-old start record still holds on.
This could be 20 out right here. 28. Okay, put your seatbelt on, Martin. We're going to see another track record.
54-64 is the current record. We've already had a 75 for Nico Walter.
Blow it away.
He's well on record pace at the moment.
Ooh, a little high there.
But look at the exit.
Clean. He's perfect.
This track is twice as wide for him as it is for anybody else.
It's like on a secret rail system coming down the track.
Forget it, still a third of a second in front. What a run from Francesco Friedrich.
Track record. Ralph, the Ice Meister here, told me that we would see a track record this afternoon, and here it is. Saw one this morning, saw one yesterday. 3 of the 4 disciplines so far have had the track records. Listen to the crowd.
And he didn't just creep in, that was 16 hundredths faster than the record, not a couple. That was nearly 0.2 of a second he found.
But he did not break the start record, but he got close.
Hey.
Look at these lines. Climb high here in the second pressure point, medium line, and now he exits out of here with good speed. Hard to find a mistake in that run.
No, that was textbook stuff. Matthias Höpfner there in the yellow jacket. Another German two-man legend. Alexander Kasyanov here for Russia. Kasyanov with a 9th in Whistler and a 5th place in Lake Placid so far this season. Kind of a bit of a battle going on between the Russian trio as to who's going to come out on top, and every week it seems like a different driver has supremacy.
Yeah, they could be tested amongst themselves.
Yep.
Equipment.
Sure they are.
Speed. Friedrich is going to have easy. Look at that, beat him by half a kilometer to start in a sport of hundredths of seconds. That is an awesome advantage for Friedrich.
Kasyanov lost out at Whistler to Alexei Stulnev, turned the tables back in his favor last time out at Lake Placid.
He won the event. Did he win one of the events? Two-man of the four?
Not in the two-man, in the four-man.
Four-man, he won the four-man. He's more of a four-man specialist. 2100s back with that start time, 1800s down at the start, and he's only 2100s back? 2000s back, he's coming back on Friedrich? Wow, wow. Should be 5000s down with that start, 23. Little skid there on 13-14. Didn't help. Speed. Third best speed.
Never won a medal on this track, but
that's pretty good.
Both his coaches, Yevgeny Popov and Alexander Zubkov, have, in four-man, 3rd place.
Well, considering the start there, 1800s down at the start, only 29 at the bottom. That's pretty good.
And only
watch out for him tomorrow in the four-man.
Only 1300 slower than Zubkov's old track record from 2006.
Okay, drift. You're allowed one hit, and he's still, that's a little bit of a skid there. That cost him, because he was reducing the deficit.
When Zubkov and Voivoda set that track record a decade and more ago, I bet they didn't start in a 5:33. I bet they started 2/10 quicker than that.
Absolutely.
Next up, Cody Basque with Chris Kinney on the back handles.
Kinney's quite a story.
Is Kinney's first two-man start?
I think it's the first time we've seen it.
I think it might be.
These two guys come from different parts of the country. Basque, almost local, like Placid. Whitehall, New York. Kinney in the sled real quick. 5:32, 6th best start. Now that skid there too. You saw him on the exit of curve 1 playing with the runners. Now let's see if he gets through 3-4. He told me he's having some problems up here in this part of the track. Not bad.
Well, it's the old story, isn't it? A tiny mistake in a high-speed corner, almost unnoticed. A tiny mistake in a low-speed corner becomes a real nightmare.
Late there off the exit of 9. Corrected though, sport 6/10 down. That's a lot. You there, no problem, still losing.
Cody 12th in Whistler, 10th on home ice in Lake Placid in the two-man. If he can rock out a top 10 finish here in Altenberg, that'll be a massive personal best for him.
Not bad on the bottom. Not bad on the bottom part of the track. He made a lot of mistakes up there. Exit of curve 1 was probably the worst mistake that he made. The rest of the way down, when you're getting a skid when you're going 75 miles an hour, that's different when you're going 25 miles an hour.
For sure.
This is a little late off 9. And watch the runners. One hit, corrected, corrected nice. Up and down here though. Second pressure point too high. That's extra steering.
So Cody Basque for the USA lies in 8th position with our first 10 sleds down. Francesco Friedrich and Nico Walter, two hometown heroes, lead the race for Germany. Canada's Justin Cripps with Jesse Lumsden. After 2 years away from the sport, doing other things, living other lives, Jesse Lumsden has returned to take up the challenge. We're now inside 400 days from the Olympics in Pyeongchang.
Well, international man of mystery. He gets good starts, especially with a beast like Lumsden on the back. But 5:22 start, second best. And let's see if Cripps keep it straight. He does. And the exit here is 3-4. Nice. Ooh, that was a little early out of there on the tap.
One tap from Tudai Curve puts him into the middle of the track, into the Kreisel.
Leading a lot of time back. He was second out of the blocks, fell to 6th in the entrance to Kreisel. Now he's 7th, skid there. Might be late here into the, late into that curve. There, really yarned it there too. But again, these guys are all going half second, 3/4 of a second faster than any of their training runs, and it's tough to adjust.
Comes in here.
Bosch and Lyndon Rush, they didn't like that run.
Comes in here as the World Cup points leader in two-man after a 4th place in Whistler and a silver in Lake Placid.
And with that 5:22 start, he's going to be pretty disappointed with that finish.
Again, knowledge of what the ice is going to do when it hasn't got snow and it's 8 degrees colder.
Well, this is 13-14. He rocketed in there late and had to steer coming off and a couple taps left, right, late. It all adds up. But with that start time, he shouldn't be back in the position he's in.
So they're going in to get weighed. There's Jesse Lumsden with his back to us. Korean flags next up for Dong-Young Kim, with Junglin Yoon behind him. Kim lying in 6th place in the World Cup standings in the two-man. The Korean crews are 2nd and 6th in the world at the moment.
Well, Juan, we expect him to do well. We didn't expect him to come out of the blocks like he did in Whistler and do as good as he did. So obviously they turned some light on in his head about driving a sled.
6th and 7th. He's got a new sled this year as well, so that all helps.
7th best start. Oh, looks like he took a little bit too much of that curve 3. Crossover had a lot of pressure to 4.
Relatively unfamiliar territory, especially for Kim, don't forget. Last year was his first full World Cup season, so first time in Altenberg last year.
7th out of the blocks, drifted to 8th. He's back in 7th. 6th, now he's flying here, he's moving.
Nice transition, 11 to 12.
Ooh, late there though.
Can he carry the speed? 129 kilometers an hour is 75 miles an hour and still building.
5th best speed in the finish, 6th best overall. That's pretty good. He's only 1100ths, 900ths off his teammate. His teammate beat him by 800ths at the start. And Kim starting to show us he can drive.
He's had a 6th and a 7th this year. He lies 6th at the moment.
We thought there was one Korean sled. I think that there's going to be 2 that are going to be formidable challengers at the next year's Olympics in Pyeongchang. This didn't help though.
Didn't panic, let the sled come over to his left.
Yeah, nicely there. Here was late, very much like Justin Cripps. Hit once, let it go.
Germany's 3rd string is not a local boy. He's Berchtesgaden's Johannes Lochner with Christian Rasp behind him.
First time we've seen him, right?
Yep.
Now, I don't know how good Rasp is, but we know how good Lochner is at the start. His uncle Rudy won a silver medal, won the World Championships here in 1991. It's about 25 below 0.
And of course, don't forget that the German crews all opted not to race in Lake Placid to come testing equipment back in Germany.
Lochner, 6'2".
So what's he got? He's got the FES 2-man. That's the new FES 2-man.
21. Surprised. He usually matches Friedrich's starts, but of course Friedrich doesn't have his top guy. He goes to Marvis.
I wonder whether all that training before Christmas has left them with a couple of injuries they need to avoid.
Listen to the sound. Listen to the crowd.
He gets to race 2 times at home in Koenigsegg this season, once the regular World Cup race, and then there's the 2 weeks of the World Championships as well.
Boy, is the time falling away for him.
Yeah.
You know, maybe the track just doesn't have anything left, but Friedrich just went 5 sleds ago.
Yeah. I don't think it's the track. It might be the runner choice that they've chosen for the day.
9th best speed in the bottom 10th. Wow. Wow, that's very disappointing.
10th place at the moment.
Two Germans at the top of the leaderboard. I expected this German sled to sneak into at least the top 4 and 5.
Well, Lochner's not been in the medals here in Altenberg.
There's Rennie Spies telling him these guys are. Well, that was Matthias Hoffman. Disappointment. Look, what do I do? See, he put his hands up in frustration. This is not what he expected.
So, jetzt Aufruf für das Team mit der
Look at the start. Let's see if they hit this. Okay. Tall, young, 22-year-old kid, just going to get bigger, faster, and you know, get in with a gymnastics type move. And look at the way. Look at his right foot. Almost got caught up there a little bit. And now watch the brakeman's hands and arms come in here. Over the top,
Stunning.
little cohesion.
Just stunning. See the way that Lochner is in free fall as he lands in the sled, hands off the cowl. Alexei Stulnev of Russia with Vasily Kondratenko behind him.
Pretty good in Lake Placid.
Yes, he was. Stulnev 8th in Whistler, 9th in Lake Placid in the two-man.
Crashed here in training last year. Stitches in his leg. We saw him limping around our hotel. He's out. No, he's in the draw. He competed with like 10 stitches in his knee for the two-man and the four-man, and didn't get the stitches off for about 10 days.
Yeah, no such thing as out when you're a Russian.
So red badge of courage for this guy. He's got talent, but you know, he got the 13th best start. 2 hits, that's a no-no. The crowd is starting to assemble here in the Chrysler.
Driving himself into contention in around the top 10.
To 11th. Hey, the other Kazanov was fast down here. 11th, speed, decent. 10th.
Too many taps. This isn't Kazanov's drive. Tap, tap,
Second
tap.
best speed on the bottom, so the Russian sleds. Look at Zubkov look on. I mean, he's in 8th place, but second best speed in the bottom, like Kazanov. Kazanov, I think, had the 3rd best speed. So, you know, Stulnev's showing some driving prowess. Oh, he's got the perfect equipment and setup, or maybe both.
Yeah.
Well, this wasn't his best. Just wants to get through there without hitting. He hit fractionally. Then it caused him 2 hits, 3 hits. Look at these great pictures in Kreisel. What a curve that is. TV just does not do the curve justice. If you see how those sleds come in there and rattle around you, I mean, you got to do a spin around to keep up with it.
Yeah, same as our cameraman does, doing a good job to keep up with that. Stephen Holcomb of the USA won in the two-man in Lake Placid last time out. Carlo Valdez on the back of the sled.
Okay, well, we all know Holke's going to give up a little time at the start. If he gets to 45 kilometers, he'll be happy. He does. Half kilometer down, 20 hundredths back at the start. Wow. 11th best start. Yeah. The perfect drive will put him in the top 6.
200th of a second slower than Kazanov at the start. Kazanov's in 3rd. So Holcomb, yeah, he could come in with a decent run well into the top half dozen.
It's pretty clean. 11th to 10th to 10th. Has not improved. Perfect lines. If anybody can find a perfect line down
Here we
there.
go.
7th. He's won 11, 10, 10, now 7th. And he usually racks up the best speed on the bottom, and that's clean. And it's still 7th. Well,
fastest speed out of the top there, 75.4 miles an hour, 130.
82.2 out of 6th. There's that perfect drive we talked about. 3rd best speed on the bottom. I think the Russian sleds had the best speeds on the bottom. And maybe Friedrich was in one of the two.
The top speed is Friedrich with 82.7 miles an hour. Holcomb 82.2. And in fact, Kazanov 82.1, the 3rd placed sled. So Holcomb's speed behind only Stulnev, who was 82.4.
In fact, Holcomb is tied to the 100th with Kim of Korea.
Yeah.
300s ahead of Rico Peter. Wow. Peter had a much better start.
And hey, Benny Meyer in 5th place. What a drive he had. Francesco Frugic, though, is our first round leader. 15 of our 24 sleds down here in the first of 2 runs in Altenberg, Germany. And the first time we've seen the Latvians all season. This is Oskars Kibermanis with Matis Miknis behind him. Latvians have been racing back home in the European Cup races. 5:18, that's a big start. Track record is 5:12.
No, he looked a little bigger. I mean, he's been sliding for 3 years. He's only 21 or 22. And to me, he just hasn't come out of the shadows of Albardis. Fantastic athlete. And the success of the Latvian program, well documented, winning their first ever World Championships last year. Albardis did. Kibermanis just didn't have the season like everybody would expect him, especially with the start times that he gets. But this is pretty good right now.
Albardis throws such a big shadow.
Almost tipped over. That's the worst line we've seen in the 13-14. But this is fast. This is top 3. 5th place. Boy, he's close to tied for 5th with Meyer. He's 100th out of 4th.
The time in 5th place at the moment.
Wow, that's a battle. Yun Jong-won, Benny Meyer,
13-14.
Kibermanis, 3 sleds, 100th.
13-14, airborne on the exit of 13 into 14. The first sled we've seen with runners off the ice. Won't be the last. But pretty good. Here's 11-12. Let's see if he gets over on the wrong side of the straightaway. He's supposed to be on the right side. Going in, look at back end skid. Now watch the back end of this. Look, he has to steer here hard. Now watch the back end of the sled on the take on to 14. And when that sled goes that airborne, all the pressure goes in the front of the runners. More pressure, more friction, loss of time. But that's also a place where you can tip over pretty easily.
And that's the mistake that cost him 3rd place at the line. Another Latvian, so this is Ugas Zalims. Jānis Jansons behind him, another new name in the Latvian lineup. And a fresh, young pair of legs behind Ugas Zalims.
First time I think we've seen him.
Yes, it is.
Jānis Jansons.
And Zalims, a firefighter, comes uniquely, I think, in bobsleigh from the former sporting background of tug of war.
Yeah, we've never figured that one out. 25, 7th best start. This guy came out of nowhere last year, showed up at St. Moritz as the 3rd Latvian team, and went on to tie for a silver medal in front of him. So, what else they got back there in that country of 2 million?
He's got hands and eyes, Zalims. What he doesn't have yet is the experience of some of the front runners. But that'll come. 7th place on the split times.
Stayed in 7th the next split. And this line is as good as it gets, and he stays 7th. Ooh, tap. It's going to cause him some extra steering there. Yeah, you saw the thing jump up on the 12. Lost a lot. 10th. Going to lose more time here. Doesn't have the 130 kilometer. Yeah, look at the 12th best speed at the bottom. He finishes in 10th. Had 2 Russian sleds.
Well, listen, a top 10 result here would certainly kick his season off nicely in the World Cup. They may well have just gone for a runner setup that gave him control at the expense, perhaps, of a few fractions of speed.
6 different countries now in the top 10. That probably is going to change at least to 7. Hefty's yet to come. And that guy from that small island, Great Britain, named Bruce Tasker. Look at these lines. Pretty quiet. Here's on the exit. This is 8-9 combination that sets him up.
See, lines were nice, didn't look too dramatic, but it just was bleeding speed away. Maybe he went for
He's looking to replay himself.
Yeah, of course he is. Well, you mentioned 2 names who might threaten the start record. Bruce Tasker and London-based Toby Luby, the teacher and brakeman.
Tony, first of all, Bruce Tasker's a 6'3" big guy. Yeah. Tony's like 6'5" monster.
Yeah, Toby's a big guy, back in the British lineup. These guys, along with Switzerland's Bert Hefty, might be in the mood to challenge that start record.
Here. Come on.
5:15, it's a 5:12 record.
He went in the wrong side to curve 1, so that's going to erase a lot of his speed. They say it's the best speed.
Wow.
Red numbers already, though, because I think he had to steer too hard at curve 1 because he was on the right side.
Second year of driving. Nobody doubts his athletic abilities. Now he's got to learn and get that experience to fight with the very best.
Well, I put him as a dark horse for a medal next year because of his ability to start the sled.
5th place on the split times as they got to the Kreisel. He's slipped away a little to 7th. It could still be a top 10 run.
Hey, this is a guy just learning. 50 hundredths back, 9th, slipping down, but
little bit like Uga Salams, isn't it? No major dramas.
Maybe that track, 13th best speed. I don't think the track's got any speed left.
Well, we'll find out maybe in a couple of sleds' time with Beat Hefty, although Beat Hefty, disappointing pre-season, sort of 7th and 8th in the European Cup in the last couple of weeks.
You're right. Plus, I think the track really surprised the last 2 sleds down that had decent 5th, 7th exits of Kreisel with no speeds on the bottom. So maybe the track is just all scratched up. But there's 2 big men.
Look at Toby Alubi digging it out there at the back.
Okay, now the 2 big men got to get in this little tiny bathtub, and it's very easy to jump in that thing, right? Yeah, when you're 6'3", 220, and 6'5", 250 pounds. Look at the meat hooks on the brakeman here, putting his arms up like that. Down here, this is the skid out of. Look at the skid right there. That's out of 1.
Yeah. Just did a little hard in the corner.
Well, he went in the right side.
Yeah.
When you go on the right side like that, you got to compensate.
Dominik Dvorak from the Czech Republic with Jakub Nosek behind him. Again, Dominik's first World Cup race this season. Dominik, a former brakeman turned driver. Jan Verber of the Czech Republic in 17th at the moment. He's their most experienced pilot.
Yeah, now we start talking about who's on the bubble.
We do.
Start right there. 4th best start. Give it up to Dvorak. But the speed. He had the 4th best start. He had the 18th best speed. Great graphic there. So obviously they maybe ran too far, or maybe they wiggled to get in the sled. They altered the speed of the sled even with a great start. Ooh, late. Didn't cost him. Ooh, it did. 2 hits. Hey, he's only 7th in the exit, but the last couple sleds down, they've been 7th on the exit and had no speed on the bottom.
Down to 12th position, but don't forget, this is a guy who's only entering his 3rd season as a driver.
Well, with that start, he could challenge in some of these tracks that aren't as challenging as this Darlington of bobsled.
Still in front of his teammate.
17th.
He finishes in front of his teammate
600ths.
by 600ths of a second.
Boy, the speed on the bottom there.
17th place.
So 19 sleds down, 1 place left in the race, and what a great looking sled. Great looking livery, yeah.
Love it when they come to the... Every team should take example of what these guys are doing with their equipment. It looks great. Here, this is 8-9. 8 sets him up for 9. He went in there late. And this one tap, okay, so if you keep it straight, but he could. Second tap. Doesn't sound like much.
Keeps the nose into the left, though. Got the line he wanted onto the Kreisel. Okay, this is Switzerland's Beat Hefty, former multiple race winner, medalist as a brakeman, and now as a driver. Shot putter alongside him, Sandro Ferrari, now into his 2nd season as a brakeman. Hefty didn't do the North American leg.
Coming out next week with the 4-man team, too, in Wittenberg. Told me.
Last time we saw him race 4-man, he had 2 girls in the team, didn't he, in St. Moritz a couple of years back.
Little PR stunt. Might have got a paycheck out of it.
Yeah. 5:32.
This is the best starting team in the World Cup years ago.
And see, this is why Beat Hefty perhaps hasn't been exactly setting the world on fire so far in the European Cup races.
Start. Well, he dominated the sport with starts.
That's 2/10 off where he should be.
Yeah. Well, he knows how to drive. He's a medal on this track numerous times.
Bronze medal in the 2-man in the 2011-12 season, and also in 2008-2009.
This isn't really Hefty like being 16th place at the moment. He might get it to 15th. Can he get 130 kilometer speed. That's all he can get.
Whoa, just.
10th best speed. Well, at least he had a better speed in the bottom and brought it back to 14th place.
And doesn't have the ignominy of wondering whether or not he's going to make the cut. He's in the race in 14th.
Yep.
And actually, a little bit, maybe like Ugo Zalims, a little bit like a couple that we've seen. No major errors in the run. Looked pretty clean, but maybe the track just doesn't quite have the sparkle it did for the first few.
Look at that, a little late there. This is in the 3-4 combination. Should be too early. Got over, crashed the wall on 3.
A little bumpy, but nothing major.
But yeah, in the twilight of his career, what a career it's been.
20 sleds down, Francesco Frugic, Nico Walter lead from Alexander Kasyanov of Russia. Now the 4 remaining sleds will all have to bump somebody to take their place in the race. 21st starting spot for Markus Treichel of Austria. Franz Esterhammer, his brakeman. Treichel, another brakeman turned driver for the Austrians. Teammate Benny Meyer tied 5th at the moment.
Franz, brakeman, pretty big boy. 16th best start.
Well, if they can hold that position all the way down, they'll be in the race. On the bubble at the moment, Great Britain's Lamin Dean, who was the first man on the ice.
Skid out of 1 didn't help his efforts, I'll tell you that. 3-4, pretty good. And he's 20th already. So I don't think...
Yeah, but he's 20th on the splits and not 21st, so at the moment he is in the race.
And that line's decent.
Listen to the thunder there through the Kreisel.
He's going to have a lot of steering here.
Still in the race, 20th place.
21st now.
So he's behind Lamin Dean. Lamin Dean may dodge this bullet, and Treichel 21st at the line. So Lamin Dean remains in the race with 3 to come. But there are a couple of very good prospects in the remaining 3 sleds. By no means certain that Lamin Dean will be in the race, or Jan Verber, or Dominik Dvorak. So Great Britain and the 2 Czech sleds both in jeopardy. Christina Hengster there took the bronze medal yesterday. Sanna Decker closest to us, her brakewoman. So the Austrians had a good day in the women's bobsled competition.
A little re-emergence of Austria here in the last couple of years. Men's, women's,
Yep.
Of course, skeleton with Janine Flock.
Now then, look at the state of this sled. Beautiful machine for Simone Bertazzo and Francesco Costa again. Like the others at this end of the field, they're low down in the World Cup points because they haven't done a World Cup race. And when you see this sled from side on, it's got a Ferrari Formula 1 car painted down the side.
Simone hurt, he's a little wounded.
Yeah.
About 60%, I think he had surgery.
And again, like Ben Hefty, a driver who you probably won't see after Pyeongchang.
Well, with that type of start, he's going to have to really drive himself into the top 20. He could, very easily with his talent. I mean, a former World Cup gold medalist, multiple medalist, world champion bronze medal in 2007 in Samoritz. In my day, I knew his father well. Father raced at the World Championships in Lake Placid in '83.
And again, look at the lines. You know, this guy hasn't won 2-man World Cup races by accident. He knows what he's doing. He might not have all 12 cylinders firing at the top of the track. Yeah.
He's down at 20, and here he comes. Yeah, this is his experience on the bottom part of the track. But he's going to have to get to 18th or 19th. 20th. He's right on the bubble. He bumped down Lamin Dean by 500ths.
Not exactly a sigh of relief yet for the Italians.
It's a little painful to watch a guy of his status and talent. He's injured, you know, he's injured all last year. You know, when you get a little older, it's tough to maintain the physical presence that you need in this sport. Look, you can barely get out of the sled. How are these lines? Feathered himself on the exit of 9 into Kreiselen. you know.
And there's the experience, you know. All right, it snowed on him in training as well, but he knows the track, he knows how to react and when.
How about that helmet? The Italians, they dress well.
Pirelli sponsorship on the sled as well, which is why the Formula One car's on it. Very interesting deal. Dorian Grigore from Romania with Florin Crasuin. The Romanians had a good first heat, really good first heat in the women's race yesterday.
These happier guys that you see come in, it's just...
Don't they love life, this whole team as a unit?
They do everything. Oh, look at that back end of the sled coming up. With that start efficiency, and then he took more curve one, and now he's banging himself like a pinball. That almost tipped over there. Watch out here in this crossover. Yeah, he got through there. He might have gone with a runner selection. There's no friction, it's cold. These might be warm weather runners.
Yeah, if he's got fat runners on, I don't think anybody expected it to snow, and certainly when they were putting the runners on at lunchtime, it won't have been forecast to snow.
Simone is 20th. He's going to get this sled, but I don't think he's going to get the next sled. So one and done for the Romanians.
Yep, Les Grigore knows the shortcut. He's not going to make the heat 56-55. He's in 23rd place with one sled remaining.
Team Romania.
Winterberg next week will be much more comfortable territory for the Romanians. It's where the team is based, and they will know that an awful lot better than they do here, this Altenberg track.
Well, look at this, the back end of the slide. He tried to steer out of that, skid out of one. And two, he comes in really late. Look, I mean, there's nobody came in that curve late. Then he hits the little kink there. You talk about putting the brakes on. Yeah. Look at that skid. This is down in the 13-14 where it's danger zone.
Yeah, he's really trying to hang on to the sled at that stage. That's what happened to Misha McNeil. Backed in there, spun on her. Final sled then from Latvia, Oskars Melbardis, Daumans Dreskins. Since the end of last season in the World Championships in Eagles, he has had exactly 6 runs in a sled before the 4 training runs here. So he is not physically fit and very race rusty, but we know what he can do.
So this is probably going to be in the 20s. Best starting team in the world. They're a little older, a little wounded. Look at this. 16th best start. Wow.
These guys took a silver medal in the last 2 years in the 2-man. Took a silver medal 2 years ago in the 4-man as well. So he knows the track.
And his brakeman, Daumans Dreskins, I said, Daumans, how you doing? You fit? He goes, no, I ate too much this summer. I said, the banquet circuit? He said, yes. He says he can't eat the rest of the year and has to train. He was like 15, 20 pounds overweight. But he had a big smile on his face. He enjoyed it.
All right, 15th place. He's going to make his first World Cup. Second heat of the season on his first appearance.
6,200's back.
You know what?
Here comes 13.
Could even be top 10 at this rate. Getting close.
Yeah, well,
12 for the line. Yep.
16th best start. There's Sanders Prusa. Sanders broke his leg last year, remember? And
yeah, the World Championship.
Good to see him.
Yeah.
He says he's got a few plates in there.
Well, tied for 12 with Alexei Stulnev, who started 5:37 compared to Melbardis 5:35, and Stulnev is fully fit.
Yeah, you saw him touch the runners there to try and get some control in the exit 13-14, but hey, they're just moving, positioning themselves to peak at the World Championships. Back surgery, amazing he got to where he got.
Our race leader then, Francesco Friedrich, with Martin Grodkop behind him. Friedrich, winner here in the 2-man competition last season and in the 4-man. He's got something to defend here on home ice in Altenberg.
Track record. Just another day at the office for this young athlete.
Yeah, right. Francesco Friedrich leads by a quarter second from compatriot Nico Walter. Alexander Kazyanov, 200 out of silver in third position. Then Yun Jong-won, the tie for fifth, Myron Kiba-Manis. Tie for seventh, Kim and Holcomb. Ninth place, Rico Peter. And then a tie for 11th. I beg your pardon, for 12th now with Stulnev and Mel Bardis. Got a few ties down our top 20, which is rounded out by the Czech duo, Dvorak and Verba. So Batazzo, Dean, Treichel and Grigore failed to make the cut for the second heat. It'll be Jan Verba who kicks the competition off, and Francesco Friedrich who will round it off as we go 20 down to 1 to decide the medals here in Altenberg in Saxony. Join us for all the action from the second and deciding heat coming up shortly here in Germany. Till then, from John Morgan, me, Martin Haven, and the rest of the crew, thank you for being with us. We'll see you to see who is going to take the first European win of the season.